Hey everybody, Tony D and Little Joan here with a Hollywoke hot take. Right, Little Joan? You kind of look like one of those what do they call them? The meat cats? The meat cats, the little guys that like pop up. You pop up in the desert and then you pop back down, like one of those guys. Because you're cute like that. Anyhow, before I get into it, make sure you check out the link in the description. I did an interview over at Boomers on Books, the podcast hosted by Vince. It was very nice. I talk about the Pineys, talk about writing. It only lasted about an hour. It was really nice. I almost effed it up because I got up a little early and I couldn't wake myself up. And in the pre-interview, I kind of botched the whole pre-interview, which isn't in the show. And I thought, oh God, Vince must think I'm going to answer everything with like one syllable. But then I came to life. The cameras went on and I came to life, and it was a good interview. So check it out if you can. All right, let's get into it. Hollywoke. That 70s show actor Danny Masterson ordered to stand trial on rape charges, apparently being defended by the albino from Fletch. That's an interesting look. But it isn't funny, even though I made a joke. He faces up to 45 years in prison if convicted of all charges. And this goes back to like 2001, 2003. That's quite a ways back. This is during the height of that 70s show, which opens up some other questions. Did anybody else on the show know? But who knows? I mean, this guy's in Scientology, and this is prior to the whole Me Too era, so this just sounds like a damn mess. So we'll see what happens. This guy defended Michael Jackson, so maybe it's all bull. Maybe they're just going after him because, they went after Michael Jackson. And if you haven't seen the Razor Fist videos, you really should, because it really changed my mind on the whole Michael Jackson thing. I thought, oh my God. I mean, I kind of always agreed that Michael was just a weirdo, but when you see how he was railroaded, so this could be a railroad job. I don't know, but we'll see. Lady Gaga talks trauma of rape in The Me You Can't See. Gaga refused to name producer, saying she did not want to see that person again. You can hardly blame her. I'm sure it was very traumatic. Apparently, it happened when she was 19. She's 35 now, but I think she should. I think she should go after this guy, press charges. I don't know. Maybe the time has run out on that, but expose him, sue him. I mean, you got the money, And look, I get it. You're trying to do a special to that you're hoping will help other victims deal with their trauma and whatnot. I think what would help them is if you expose this guy, and because is he active? Could he be doing it to other women? I mean, seriously. And also, too, I think that's what most women in that situation need to do. And if you're not doing it, that doesn't set a great example. And I'm not trying to criticize her over this. It's a very touchy subject. But I think she needs to name the guy. You got the money to defend yourself. I'm sure you got an army of lawyers. Do it, I say. Hollywood power producer Byron Allen sues McDonald's for racial discrimination, seeks $10 million in damages. First off, I haven't heard of Byron Allen since he was on TV in the 80s in a TV show called That's Incredible. He was one of the guys, and I think he was a stand-up guy back then. Apparently, he's now executive producer. Good for him. For some reason, he's suing McDonald's, and I read this article a bunch of times, and I still don't really understand it. The lawsuit accuses McDonald's of using tiered advertising structure with separate African-American tier that has a smaller budget and less favorable pricing than its larger general market tier. So, in other words, if it's a different channel or appealing to African Americans, they pay less for the commercials? Is that what you're saying? See, first off, how are you going to say with different commercials and different audiences that they shouldn't pay different rates? That happens all the time. I've bought commercials. I've sold commercials. The prices are always constantly varying. and sometimes they're changing them literally every day in order to try to get the best price or try to get the best discount or whatever. And how can you sue McDonald's over it? And then the other factor is you've got the obesity epidemic, which some people would say is pretty bad in African American communities. So, do you want McDonald's to advertise more and spend more money to promote to African Americans? That seems counterintuitive or counterproductive too. So I don't get this at all. And how can he sue them? Like on whose behalf is he suing? It makes no sense to me. I don't get it. Maybe somebody can explain it in the comments. I just don't get it. Speaking of not making sense, Mark Ruffalo pushing for closure for more oil pipelines following gas shortage caused by Colonial Pipeline shutdown. He declared on Friday, gas is over. No. Mark, let me tell you what Elon Musk said about replacing every car with electric cars. A guy who makes electric cars. He said if you started today, it would still take you 25 years to do it. So, do you want poor people? Let me tell you something, Mark. I understand what it's like to have not a lot of money and get by and have to do things like calculate, can I afford gas? Can I even afford this car anymore? I know those calculations. And, you woke idiots all try to help. Obama tried to help by cash for clunkers. And you know what that did? It turned my world, which I lived in a world where I could buy a car for $500 and drive around for a couple of years until it fell apart and then buy another one, into a world where I couldn't afford to do that because all the cars were $3,000, $4,000, $5,000. It also is just going to impact everything else in this country until you have a real suitable substitute for cars and gasoline and whatnot. But economics is not the strong suit of the Democrats or the woke. They just want what they want, and that's it. Oh, we got to help the environment. Ah! Okay, you know what would help the environment? Banning everything in the modern world. You can all go back to being Amish. You all about that? You ready to get rid of your phone and the television, your entire industry? Go back to working on the farm, digging with your hands? Are you ready to do that, Mark? I don't think you are. And I get it. I don't mean that. Okay. Well, then try to be realistic about it. Even the Biden administration acknowledges that right now pipeline is the most cost-effective, safest way to transport gas. We were energy independent. That didn't mean we were going to stay on gas forever. 100 years from now, we will either be completely off of gas or, it'll be the sort of thing where, well, did you gas up? Oh, yeah, I'm done for the year. So we may reach a point in the efficiency of gas where, you can ride on a tank of gas for the next 10 years. But you can't do that if you're constantly out there harping on nonsense. And by the way, what you're not harping on is the CCP. I know I keep harping on China, but China is a huge problem. They're out there polluting the planet. Oh, but yeah, I bet if you stood up against them, they might have second thoughts about buying any movie you're in. See how that works? So why don't you grow a pair and protest China? China's having a ton of floods that they don't want you to see because they've done things to the environment that they shouldn't do. People are suffering over there. They're suffering from the air, the water, everything you could possibly name. Oh, but go after us. Go after the gas in the middle of the end of a pandemic or whatever the hell it is. Where people are trying to put their lives back together. People need jobs, and now you're making food and everything skyrocket because you want to get rid of gas. Gas is not over, you woke tard. Netflix CEO Reed Hastings gave $3 million to help Gavin Newsom beat recall. Oh, well, maybe he shouldn't allow you to shoot your movies in his state because, COVID. So to me, this is either an outright bribe so that Netflix can shoot their movies, or it's just more woke-tarded nonsense. It's just dumb. Another reason not to watch Netflix. Kendall Jenner disabled comments after her tequila ad prompts migrant chic cultural appropriation accusations. This all sounds like white girl nonsense to me. Oh my God, it's cultural appropriation. I heard that word before. I read Teen Vogue. I know. Please stop. Please just shut up. Director Zack Snyder put anti-border wall message in his Netflix zombie movie, Army of the Dead. Are you trying to make me not watch a zombie movie? Very little entertainment left for me to watch. Why are you going to ruin zombies now? Stop. Just stop, Zach. It probably wasn't even his idea. I'm going to imagine that this was some idiot woke studio exec's idea, and he insisted upon it, although it could have been Dave Bautista. He's friggin' woke as hell. It's a shame. I really thought Dave, he came out in Guardians of the Galaxy. I thought, wow, this guy's really funny and fun. And now I'm kind of annoyed every time I see him. So maybe I'll just skip this one. Maybe I'll just skip the whole movie. Stephen King says J.K. Rowling canceled him after he supported trans women. Not true. She blocked him. That's not the same as canceling. See, they wouldn't cancel Stephen King because he's woke and he's out there tweeting, trans women are women. Yes, trans women are women. I'm Stephen King. I'm woke. Okay. If you want to be woke, you think you're on the right side of history. I have some relatives who think the same exact way. Oh yeah, you're on the wrong side of history. Okay. Yeah, you old timers, you're set in your ways. Okay, you want to continue to watch your network news and keep being your brain fed by corporations. I'm sure your next book won't be influenced at all by wokeness or the news you've been consuming, right? J.K. Rowling is defending women. J.K. Rowling was woke as hell until she finally reached her limit. I mean, she was making virtue signaling about all the refugees over in the UK, and a big hypocrite, has all these mansions, doesn't host a one of them, as far as we know. So eventually she came to the conclusion that trans women are going to destroy women's sports, which they are doing. And guess what's going to happen? And just because you don't think trans women should compete against women doesn't mean you hate trans women. It's the same reason why if you don't think dwarves or little people, what's the appropriate term? Dwarves or little people, one of those, should compete in the NBA, that doesn't mean you hate them. Just because you say, I don't think blind people should be in an archery contest, doesn't mean you hate blind people. So, trans women shouldn't be in women's sports, and how they want to live their life, no one cares. No one really cares. But to virtue signal like this, especially when you're famous, especially when you got millions of dollars, it can only blow up in your face. I so look forward to that moment for Stephen King now. It's going to happen. So you can keep virtue signaling all you like, saying to yourself, oh yeah, this is what people want. I'm looking good now. Yeah, no, I'm going to do this because blah, blah, blah. They always come back to get you. They'll get you sooner or later. You can't bow enough, Stephen. You can't. TikTok used to air tensions, incite violence between Israelis and Palestinians. Yep, although, is that really a TikTok that does that? I don't think so. Doesn't surprise me at all. The Chinese run TikTok and own the company. And it's anything run by the Chinese state is part of the Communist Party. I mean, it's not like here where, Amazon is not part of the U.S. government. They may do things for the U.S. government, but they're not the U.S. government. They may support them. They may do a lot of the similar things. They may even have the same messaging, but they're not part of the government. There is a line there where Jeff Bezos can go, no, I'm not going to do that. There is no such line, no such distinction in the CCP. No one can say no to them. If you say no to them, they can throw you in a gulag for the rest of your miserable, and I promise you, it will be a miserable, miserable time until they kill you or torture you to death or leave you battered and broken in some village in the middle of nowhere, scraping by, in the most miserable conditions possible. This is what the CCP does. So this, I believe, is part of their psyop to make more trouble for the West. You make trouble in the Middle East, the United States has to get involved. Dopey Joe Biden fell right into it. So it's what it is. I think it's totally a Chinese psyop. I was talking to Data Racer on Twitter, and if you haven't seen Data Racer, it's a really great Twitter account. I know that's weird to say, but Data Racer uses the data on Twitter to show things. And one of the things I said was, I think there are a lot of shills on the internet for China. I think there's a lot of Chinese psyops going on. And he showed me, for Gina Carano, right? There was a T-shirt that came out all of a sudden that said Gina Carano did nothing wrong. And suddenly there were dozens of exactly the same tweets. I got the shirt, or I love the shirt, or something like that. And, he was able to determine that they all came out roughly at the same time, like within minutes of each other, I think. And that, it looks very suspicious when stuff like that happens. Now, is it possible? Yeah, there's a lot of people on Twitter, but, one of the things, and we already know that the Chinese has, according to one article, 1.9 million spies in the West. That doesn't count the people who are on the internet also doing the spying or doing the trolling. I believe that Reddit is completely infiltrated by Chinese communists. They go after people and they sow division, and Reddit is a mess. It's an absolute cluster F if you've been there compared to what it was. It was a beautiful community before. I liked it a lot. This is like 2010. Now it's awful. It's just awful. And I go ahead and criticize China and watch what happens. And it's about sowing division. So these tweets that Data Racer was showing me, and there were dozens of them, they were on Gina Carano's side, right? So it's about destabilization means creating a situation where you're forced to pick a side, left or right. Because the idea is to polarize the electorate and make the statue topple one way or the other. And then you get a kind of one-party rule, which is even worse, and then it goes back. And it's part of the old Soviet Union's ploy. Now, I personally don't think it will work, but in the process of attempting this, you're going to see a ton of damage, as you saw it during the Soviet era, during the Cold War. But I think it's going to be even worse than that now, because people are dumber than they were back then, at least in my opinion. And finally, Chris Rock rips cancel culture for rise in boring entertainment. I like Chris Rock, and I'm glad he's saying this, but again, it's the same thing I said about Chappelle, the same thing I said to Donald Glover. We need you guys. We need you guys to come out hard on this. We're getting late in the game here. And I realize everybody's like, oh, I'm going to keep my head down, let somebody else get their head chopped off. But we're running out of time. Reading from the article, the 56-year-old comedian told Power 105's The Breakfast Club Monday that the real fear of getting canceled has made people become safe. I'm going to put you down for a minute, Joe. You're killing me. And when everyone gets safe and nobody has anything, things get boring, he told the New York station. No, it's worse than that. It's beyond boring. It's useless. We're not just making boring entertainment. We're making non-entertainment. We're making filler. We might as well be making static. And as he says, and that's not a place to be. Now you got a place where people are scared to talk. He said, saying it was bizarre, especially in America. Yes, we need somebody to wake us up from this. I'm trying. I try with my videos. I try with my comedy every day, but we get shouted down. You have the power and the money. And as I said to Donald Glover, it's not without risk. You could risk it all. You could be canceled, and that could be the end of you, and we could continue to spiral down the tubes, or we could recover. But the bad taste you put in people's mouths never allows you to come back ever again in your career. But you're 56 and you got millions of dollars. Spiral is not the way to go. We need comedy again. We need comedy. We need you to do it. We need you to come out with a comedy special that absolutely breaks the internet. Not the one Chappelle did, although that was good. I really enjoyed it. We need one that goes for the throat. Chappelle's was good. You could call it a little anti-woke. I wouldn't call it extremely anti-woke. No, we need one that rips these people a new a-hole. We need one. And you could do it. I totally volunteer my services. I mean, whatever you need, I support it. In fact, it was basically the plot of Hollywoke, another novel. That's part of it. So we need you. We need you to come out so hard against these people that they don't know what hit them. We need a broadside. We need you to T-bone their fucking car so they are stunned and spend the next 2 years trying to cancel you for it. Look at Ricky Gervais. Ricky Gervais was amazing and still is considered amongst many to be a guy who is of note. He is not compromised. And Ricky continues to, in his own way, to be kind of marginalized, but kind of out there. He's doing his show, whatever. And I get it. You got a career. You got projects. I maybe you don't think it's important, but if you want to do comedy again, it's the only thing that's important. We need you. We need you to do this. We need you to break the internet. We need something that's so un-PC that literally every line of your comedy monologue is almost unrepeatable on regular television. That people, anyone who quotes it will be canceled. That's how radioactive we need it to be. We need it to push the needle back the other way hard enough that these woke idiots just are stunned. They're just stunned, and they're staggering, and they can't figure out if it's cool or not. And it will be cool. It'll be the coolest thing ever. It'll be the most risky thing ever. You know? I said in another video that what I wanted to do was redo Lenny Bruce set word for word. There's no way I could do it now. I'll be killed. There's probably no comedy club that would host me to do it if I told them in advance what I was doing, and nobody would even get it. But we need something that shocking. We need something. You can do it, because the woke will give you a pass, at least initially, and you can get it made and distributed, and then when it hits, they'll try to destroy you, but we'll be there to support you. We'll be there. And you got to have that faith. Everyone will be there. Everyone will watch it and say, this is the most amazing thing ever, and no, he should not be canceled. And you'll be protected. I promise you, you'll be protected by the fans. The fans will throw themselves in front of, the woke idiots. And we need to expose them for what they are. They are racist. They are racist. And they are bringing back racism. And you can do that all in a set. A massive set. Where you eviscerate these people. You have the ideological and moral high ground. You can do it. I know you can do this. So, that's my request. And if you need me, you can find my email. Happy to throw in my jokes. Anyhow, that's Hollywoke. We'll see you in the next video.